Hi all, this is Woonsocket City Councilor Alex Kithes. With the delayed and embarrassing response by the Trump administration, it's become abundantly clear that a lot of the responsibility of dealing with this novel coronavirus, this crisis, is falling on state and local governments, not only to take steps to minimize the spread of the disease and reduce the impact on vulnerable people, but also to help working class folks deal with the ramifications of quarantine and economic recession. I applaud the steps that Mayor Baldelli Hunt has taken in leading our city's response thus far, and as one of your city councilors, I believe we can do more. After talking to people in our community, I've come up with a list of proposals, and I'm calling on my fellow city council members and the mayor's administration to join me so we can enact them together. I am planning to draft the legislation within the next couple of days and call for a remote council meeting so we can take these actions and increase protections for people in our city and really for people in the surrounding area. So first off, we need to ease the burden on our taxpayers and rent payers by not only delaying the April 15th property tax payment date, but also waiving payment late fees for any property where an eviction hasn't occurred or been initiated over the course of the crisis. I want us to make this difficult situation a little less risky for homeowners by halting the practice of putting properties up for tax sale due to non-payment of taxes during the pandemic. Next, we've got to ensure that vital resources get to the people in our community by halting water and sewer disconnection for lack of payment during this pandemic. We've got to avoid making this difficult situation even worse for one of the most vulnerable populations, those experiencing homelessness, by immediately ceasing all disruption of tent encampments and enforcement of laws that are basically on the books just to criminalize homelessness. And we need to further help to ease the suffering of the homeless by working with community organizations to distribute temporary shelter and exploring other ways to help folks find housing. We've got to avoid filling prisons even further because they're at an incredibly high risk of disease spread during the pandemic. So we need to put a temporary moratorium on arrests for nonviolent victimless crimes. Next, we've got to stand with the health and safety of the private employers and employees in our city by calling on larger places of employment to follow all municipal, state, and federal orders and guidelines concerning public gatherings and reduce the density and the number of people that work in buildings in the city. We've got to protect the health of our own city employees by enabling that those who are required to work during the pandemic to safely social distance during work. And we have to prioritize the health of our city by granting our city employees, including those who are part-time or otherwise without benefits, emergency adequate paid sick leave during the course of this pandemic. Next, we have to protect our seniors and the otherwise vulnerable members of our community by working closely with the Housing Authority to further reduce the risks in our high-rise communities. We've got to protect those for whom a quarantine may be an unsafe situation by creating a plan for the city to do regular wellness checks on homes in which domestic or child abuse is a concern. We have to give our struggling small businesses in the community another source of revenue in this difficult time by, at the very least, expanding the governor's allowance of sealed beer and wine sales with takeout purchases to also include sealed spirits and distilled alcohols. That would be just within the city. The next thing is that we need to help with this national grassroots effort by exploring ways for our city to mobilize and incentivize the manufacturing of masks for our healthcare workers and make food available to kids affected by this crisis. And finally, we as the City Council have to begin holding virtual but still publicly accessible City Council meetings through Zoom or some other platform through the duration of this crisis. I am confident that we will get through this. but it's going to require us to work together in solidarity and community and make sure that we prioritize equity and justice in our approach to keeping our city safe and our economy afloat. Please like and share this video, share it around to your friends, and stay tuned for more ways to help out.